Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
You're listening to the midweek version of Fiber Talk, the twice weekly podcast for needlework artists. All right, the list is long. Long. Mm-hmm.
We got to go. Got to talk about all this stuff. We got stuff to talk about.
So no stitch hour tonight. Back from my last trip of the year. Yay. Trips to California make me tired.
Yes.
Yeah, and 2 in 1 month really makes me tired. So Stitch Hour next week. We'll do a Stitch and Chat next week. And Sunday's guest, Jamie Chalmers, Mr. X Stitch. Do we call it Mr. Cross Stitch or Mr. X Stitch?
I don't know. I call him Mr. X Stitch in my head, but, we'll have to ask him.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to explore what's in your head. Do we want to do that?
No, absolutely not.
No. So he'll be our guest. I frankly had not. I mean, I knew of him. I knew he had a magazine, but really haven't paid much attention. Don't know why, just haven't. And researching him, we haven't recorded the show yet, but researching him, holy smokes, he covers the waterfront. He's
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought, okay, yeah, he does cross stitch, and I'd heard about that, and I was like, okay, but no, that's not all he's into. It'll be fun to talk to him.
Right. Yeah. Looking forward to it. So that'll be Sunday. Sunday. All right. We got to talk about copyright.
Oh yeah. Yvette Stanton posted it. I first saw it on Instagram where she said she had a big long post about copyright, and someone had made copies of her book and used it in a class, is what it sounded like. Is that what you got from that?
Yeah. She didn't give details, which, protecting people, but quite frankly, in these situations, burn them, just right. Burn them. But that was the impression I got, is somebody my interpretation was took a copy of her book, made a whole bunch of copies for a class, and went at it. And no, absolutely not.
Never. Absolutely not. It annoys me. I in fact, we had a stash sale, and I was looking through the things. We pulled some items out from the stash sale, and we sold them at a higher price than we normally sell from stash sales, because they were Gay and Rogers patterns, most of them, and they were full kits.
Yeah.
But then I was going through and sorting, making sure I had the threads with the kit, whatever. I came across two patterns that were copied.
Oh, no.
And I was like, and one I knew because I had put it in a stash sale before, and because I had stitched it, and I said, I'm not ever redoing this one. I'm moving on. And I knew a member would like it. So, but obviously it was a copy of that. And so now I've got I talked to another member of our guild, and she said, yeah, you should just shred them. And she's right, because if they're just sitting in my stash one day, when there's a stash sale of my stuff, someone will say, oh, and that's just wrong. It's just wrong to copy. It's taking the designers and taking their livelihood from them. And it's so wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's theft.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally theft. Yeah.
So
don't do it. To me, I make copies of charts, working copies, so that I can mark them up, because I don't like the original marked up. But then when I'm done with a project, those copies go in the trash. Because I don't, same thing. Some days somebody's distributing my stash. I don't want copies going around. No. Right. And that kind thing, I'll make a copy of it for you. No, that is theft.
Yes. And it doesn't matter if it's out of print, believe it or not. It still has a copyright on it.
Right.
You can't just copy it willy-nilly.
Right.
And especially if it was an exclusive at, a retreat or something. It's an exclusive for a reason. You paid extra money to take that as a class or to take it as a retreat. You should not be making copies and passing it on. It just annoys me. It's just a personal pet peeve. I'm like, just wait. It'll be released, and if it's not, go buy a legitimate copy somewhere on the secondary market.
Right.
If you really want it.
Yeah.
If you really want it.
Yeah. The only time stuff is out of copyright is if it's really ancient. Like you can go like in a church hymnal. If you look in the fine print at the bottom of hymns, it will tell you if it's out of copyright. And then if it is, it's if like hymns are ancient, then you can do whatever you want with it, and it doesn't matter. And there are a lot of old books that are out of copyright. Mary Corbett has dug up some ancient stuff that she can share because it's out of copyright because it's just so old. But it'll say somewhere. But otherwise, just assume that there is a copyright on it. Don't make copies. If somebody says, "Oh, I'd love that. Can you make a copy?" No, buy it yourself. Buy your own copy. Yeah.
Buy your own copy.
Yep.
Buy your own copy. It's, and because the problem is, I know some of the designers, they just give up. It's just like, it's just not worth, they're fighting all the time. They're fighting, China, these other sites stealing their designs. After a while, they just give up and say, I am not going to do this anymore. It's not worth the effort. And then you lose those designers. You lose the whole network of needlework people that we want to keep around. I mean, it would be horrible if Yvette Stanton got mad and stopped making her books because they're fantastic.
Right.
I'm working on something right now. And of course, I never read the book all the way through, and I never read the instructions all the way through. But I am working. I can go step by step, using her book, flipping back and forth to the stitches. They're fantastic. It's a fantastic book. What a valuable resource. We do not want her to stop making her books. We want to keep her in business.
Right. And PDFs are the same. Just because you download a PDF doesn't mean you get to attach it to 20 emails to your friends. That's theft. They have to buy their own copy.
Yes.
And a downloadable online magazine, any of that stuff, buy your own.
Yes.
You can't just do that. And it's so easy to say, "Oh, I'll send you. I downloaded it. I'll send it to you." No, buy your own. And it, I mean, in the big picture, this stuff is it's not that expensive. These charts are not that expensive. Buy your own,
Right. And you have to remember, they're not making, it's not a huge profit margin for them. It's for the amount of time they're spending on it. Right. It really isn't. It really, really isn't. They're not getting rich off of it. That's for sure.
Right.
They're doing it for their love of needlework, and they're sharing it with us, and we need to support them. If not, we're not going to have them anymore. And that's the truth. Yep. They're stealing, and we won't have them. And they won't be available, and that would be horrible.
And and for an artist, I mean, it's just demoralizing. You put all that work in, and people are just just stealing it, just treating it like it's nothing, and and then because they're real expense. I mean, there's time, because you think, oh, what's the expense? It's some software. No, it's time, it's thread, it's cloth, it's all kinds of experimentation. All of that has value, and they deserve to be paid for their talents. And and it's that's the other part, is it's hours and hours of things that are thrown away because they didn't work out. And you just can't do it.
No, and it's time. Okay, you say, "Oh, I could design." I hear people say, "Well, I could do that." Well, fine. You take the time to do it. Oh, I don't have that kind of time. All right. So, but their time is less valuable than your time.
Right.
You can't get time back. That's one thing you can never go backwards in time. We don't time travel yet. So, you lose that time. They spent so much time on this. I mean, you think about Stanton and her books, the research she puts in, the time and the writing of the books, the writing of the
travel.
Yes. The images she puts in there are fantastic. That takes time.
Yep.
And we all know how hard it is to get a good photo of needlework.
Yeah. Let alone one that can go in a book that people can rely on for accuracy and can see easily. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Right. And graphs and on and on and on and on. That, having tried to make a graph to teach, that is horribly hard work.
Yep.
It takes hours. And
Yep.
it still looks, you look at it and you're like, that isn't quite what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It's a pain. So we need to support them. So yeah, don't make copies, people.
No.
Just don't do it. Just buy one.
And if you think for a minute that people who write and publish books are making a lot of money off books, you're dead wrong. It is really hard to publish a book and be profitable. Oh, it's hard to be profitable, but to be really profitable is even more difficult. It is just difficult because of the costs, the shipping, the paper, the printing, all the pre-production work. It's really hard to make good money publishing books. So these people who publish books, quite frankly, a lot of it is out of their dedication to the hobby and wanting to share and keep these techniques alive. And they're not getting rich off this stuff. Believe me, it's really hard to make money off of books. You have to hawk it and hawk it and hawk it, and then you get a reputation like Yvette, where when her new book comes out, there's already some momentum, but behind that is years and years of working hard to produce and promote quality books, and they're not getting rich off them, folks. Not even close. No. But, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the business I'm in, every day is magazine publishing, and copyrights matter. And, we, like all of our editorial is contributed. And I, got to make sure that what these guys send in is what these authors send in is their own work. And, the photos, got to be clean. Can't have any copyright infringement, because then as the magazine, as the publisher, we get sued.
Right.
And, and we get sued by companies that have a lot of money and can make it stick.
Yeah, and you don't want that.
No.
Do not want that.
No.
Oh,
but yeah, just don't. I can do that. Then do it. Create your own. Nobody's stopping you from creating your own.
Right.
Never
just
has, but
no.
But if you do, make sure it's unique. Don't just do a direct. Oh, I charted that, and it's a direct copy of the artist. No.
Right,
don't
and
that.
you can't just change a line or change a color.
No.
That's not yours.
No. So I felt bad for Yvette. She was upset, and we don't know the whole story, but I'm sure rightfully so.
Yes, rightfully so, and yeah, and her books are wonderful. And ever comes here, I'd like to take a class.
Yep. Well, there was just a few years ago, Debbie Woodard, the painted pony. Those little dolls that painted canvases. Somebody from Russia or Romania or something made those into cross-stitch charts and was selling them on Pinterest. And it cost her a lot of time and money to get those taken down and get that stopped. Because I mean, that's her. Those are her lifeblood. She's known for them. And
right.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. Wrong. It just makes my blood boil. It just like, don't make a copy.
Yep.
Just don't.
Yep.
Right.
It's so easy, and I'll run down to FedEx and make you a copy. No. Buy your own.
Yeah. Buy your own.
Yep.
And especially in this age of PDFs, it's I'm joined Kim. It's Kim Young's fault of Sassy Jacks. She talked me
when in doubt, blame it on Kim.
Well, it's either you or Kim. I got to blame somebody. We're doing the Modern Folk Embroidery 2024 Sal. She likes this. There's squirrels on it, and I was like, okay, but you can download it only so many times, and then it stops. But I made a physical copy of it at the library, and I thought, oh, should I make one or should I make two? And I thought, no, I'm just going to make one, and I'm going to mark this copy up because I don't need to. I don't need to physically have an extra copy hanging around.
Right.
I've got the download. I've saved it to the sky. And so to the cloud.
Yep.
And so I have it. And my thought was, if I make two copies, and there's a pristine color or copy in my stash, when I pass, someone will say, "Oh, I can keep this. This is," and I'm like, "No, you can't.
No,
no.
And in those instances where it's free, do the designer the favor of having your friends download their own copies so they can have an idea of how many people downloaded it, so they can gauge interest.
Right.
If you send it to 30 people, that's 30 downloads that they don't account for. And, they may just decide, only 50 people total downloaded it. I'm not going to do this anymore because it's not worth it. There isn't enough interest, when it could be 500 people downloaded it, but it was all passed along. No, get your own. Just get your own.
Right.
It's just so damaging. And it's damaging. It isn't just needlework. It's damaging all over, but particularly the arts. Copying music that you don't own a copy of, and just how many CDs have been burnt in our lifetime and passed out for free. All those artists, all the music, and they never got those sales. And yeah. Get your own.
Make your own. Get your own. Just buy it.
Okay, it's Beth Ellicott. I don't do gold work.
I didn't know you were going to change my name, but it's true.
That is your new middle name now. I don't do gold work. Yeah,
I don't do gold work, except now I do, and we're blaming Clara for that. But
I'm getting a theme here that you don't take responsibility for your own actions.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true. I just blame somebody else.
I'm picking up on that.
Sucked right in. It's so much fun. I always thought that gold work was incredibly difficult and fiddly, and you had to do it exactly one way, and there was only one way to do it. And I was like, it's too many rules. I like the sparkle, but I don't want to mess with it. And then Clara comes on and says, well, if that doesn't work, try this. Oh, if you don't like that, try this. I make my little chips 2 millimeters or whatever, and they're only supposed to be 1, but you can make them as big or small as you want. And I'm like, I like this lady. So it's just made it fun. Because I've always enjoyed looking at gold work. But I always thought, no, if I have to measure and make sure every little couching stitch is exactly the right direction and so far apart, I don't want to do that. It takes all the fun for me out of it.
Yeah.
But working on the hearts and working on that frog. Have you worked any more on your frog?
No, because
You've been traveling.
I haven't been home. He's sitting here though. He's ready for the gold work. Yeah.
Is he? Okay. So all you have to do is the outline of it. You've got to start with the outline.
Yeah. Right. I got the eyes in. I got everything down. So now it's gold work time. Now it's the fun time. Yeah.
Right. And that was a little bit more fiddly than the heart shape was, because you've got to go around his little tippy toes.
Yeah.
Those are little tiny spaces to go around. But, I just went slow. And it didn't take me too long. I'm going to say, I think I finished the frog in like 4 sit-down sessions of stitching him.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take that long.
Well, and I think I can make this general statement that most goldwork stuff is not, the projects are not large in terms of physical size. I mean, you can get big ones, no question about it. But like this little frog that we did, what is that, 1 inch long?
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe that. Those hearts you did, they can't be more than 1/2 inch and a half, huh? 2 inches?
2 inches, probably 2 inches, because you've got the flames on them.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, those look terrific. Holy smokes, that came out nice.
Yeah, they've been so much fun. I'm getting ready to do chipping on my second heart. So I stopped because I have to think about what colors I'm going to put in.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I know we have a friend who's like, oh,
I don't do gold work.
And now I'm addicted. Now I'm totally addicted. The interesting thing is, though, working on the gold work projects made me want to start my casket. And I think the reason is I was afraid of the materials. I don't know. I think Clara did this on the Heart workshop where she said, well, and she pulled apart a piece of gold work thread, and literally, and I was like, my breath, I caught my breath, and I was like, what are you doing? But she, because I always, it's gold work, it's precious. She took her tweezers and said, if you do this, you don't want to do this, and she pulled it, and sprung something. She says, but it's, and she explained what the materials were, and I thought, no, she's right. It's just thread. It's just a material. I have them. I need to see what they'll do.
Yep.
And just start playing with them. And then all of a sudden I realized that's the problem with the casket. I have all these very precious, special materials that I'm afraid to start using because they're so precious. And I'm thinking, no, just start. Just go. Because I'm not going to get any younger. That's for sure.
Not that I've seen. Doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't
you
can try, but it doesn't work. Well, and I can understand that mindset because that live show, that Wednesday night, long ago now, where you went through the box. Mm-hmm. We had Kathy Ray on, and you went through the box. That was an intimidating pile of materials.
Yes.
I will agree with you 100%. It's like, holy smokes, what did I get into here? Mm-hmm. And I can see why you would just set that aside and say, oh, on a better day.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because how do you use this? How do you use this thread? I have no clue.
Right.
Any of them. I mean, I guess some of them I knew, but for the most part, they were all new. They were all new materials.
Yep.
But I figured, shoot, I have the instructions. Trish has already written them out. I just need to follow her lead. And as I get more confident, I'll probably change things. Yeah. But right now, I'm just following along.
Yep. And I have to say, I've had Natalie's Van Gogh, I forget what it's called, project for a long mm-hmm. time. Beautiful goldwork thing. I'd really like to do it. But, as you talk about that, I think, yeah, I had the same fear.
Right.
It's such a beautiful piece, and here's all these beautiful gold threads and colors and stuff. And, yeah. And then Clara Warschauer, she just kind of, whatever, go for it. And that class, I mean, I just did one of the two. Did you? You just did one of the two, but then you go back and look at the videos. She just has a relaxed way of going about it, and it's not quite the way everybody else's. So what? It's yours, and
right, yeah. And she's like, and if it doesn't work, just kind of push it with your finger, or if you have a lure, and just do this. And I'm like, she's right. She's right. Yep. And so the gold work, it made me stretch just enough to take the first few stitches in I had done a little bit of couching. I'd done the first little step on my casket. Uh-huh. But then I was like, stop piddling with this. Start working on it. And it made me feel better just to just pull the materials out and just start working on it.
So you've actually done something on your casket?
Yes. I had it traced already and on the slate frame. Uh-huh. We did that with Kathy Andrews. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm working on my second little, they're called mounds. They're little hills that you've got to put in the first little panel. And my goal is by the end of November to have the first lesson done. That's not a huge stretch. I think it's 3 little hills is all I have to make, and I should be able to do it. And I'm just following the directions.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's another. Is that what happens if you take a class, or you get with an experienced person? Is they take the fear factor out? Because slate frames. Look how long we monkeyed around, not putting things on a slate frame, and then a couple of hours with Kathy Andrews, and this is
yeah, and
so what?
and I think I'm surprised. I think because of the tightness of it, how drum tight you can get it. I'm surprised you haven't played more around with it more, because I think you would just love that. Just love how tight you can get your needlework.
Well, I do. I mean, the Kathy Andrews project that I have is, I mean, that's a joy to stitch on because it is just so tight, and and it really wasn't. It's not that big a deal to lace one up. Takes some time. Gotta monkey around a little bit to get it right, but once you get it on there, it's not moving.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think so. I think taking a class or being with other people, the 17th century whitework class, working with a group of friends, sitting there and, okay, I did this. Where are you? How's yours looking? What are you doing? And just going back and forth on it made me get that done. And once I got the 17th century, the first sampler done, I was able to go back and finish Gay Ann Rogers. And those had been sitting around almost 10 years.
Yeah.
That I was like afraid. I'd done most of the work. I don't know what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
But it gave me the confidence to finish those.
Right. Yeah. And I think, and then once you get over that hump, you discover none of it is that difficult.
Right.
It's just, you just got to get over the hump. You just got to dive in, let it happen. And you get better at it, but to get a basic respectable look is not that difficult for any of these techniques.
Right. And again, I know, like on the gold work, I was putting some passing thread around, and I hit it with my, to couch it down, and I split it. And so there, you see the core underneath, and I thought, okay, this is just got to come out. And as long as you have that attitude, I could take it, because I couldn't just cover it. I had broken some on different spots before, but I covered it with my other thread, and it worked fine. But this one had to come out. I think that's the other thing. You have to be willing to rip things out.
Yeah.
To take things out too, and to move forward. If not,
Yeah, I sometimes, Gay Ann Rogers, I sometimes get the impression if you could sit there for 4 or 5 hours and watch her work, that 2 of the hours would be ripping out.
Right.
The way she talks about it, it's just part of the process in her mind of getting what you want. Is you just put it in, nah, it's not right, take it back out, do it again. And I think you would see that, but to her, that's just it. That's part of it. So,
right. And I think it's okay if sometimes, like I can tell on the first heart I did, I just moved forward. I was like, okay, we're just doing it because I don't want to get caught up in this idea that it has to be absolutely perfect. And it looks nice. I've done a little bit more. I'm a little bit more picky now about when I do my stitches. I've taken things out more, but the first time I didn't. I just let it be because I didn't want to get myself frustrated.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you're gonna have to get that Natalie piece out because that is a gorgeous piece.
Believe me, it's sitting right here. As soon as I finish this frog and feel like I can have a little experience, that's next because I love that piece. It's just beautiful. I mean, I bought it. I thought, I gotta, this is going to be great looking on a wall. But I Clara has opened the door. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're wondering who Clara is, Clara Warschauer, we talked with her 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Just a wonderful lady, talented, and just the cutest little pieces. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of
Yep.
fun. Now, your show last Sunday, the Lisa Call show, was excellent. I wish I could have joined you all because she was fascinating. It wasn't just quilting that she was talking about.
No.
So for those of you who started listening and thought, "Oh, this is quilting," she was just so interesting. Just an interesting person. How she works through processes.
Yep. All the while we're recording that, and you just weren't able to work it out, and she's in Australia, and that kind of restricts when we can do things. And all the while we're recording, I wish Beth was here because yeah.
Oh, I know. And she was talking. I was like, "Oh, I want to talk to you about that material."
Yep.
I was like,
I know.
wait.
Knew. I could even sense when you would want to jump in with something because, yep, yeah. She's just remarkable, and you're right. Yeah, it's not quilting. She makes quilts, but they're not your normal quilt. But it's the art process that we get to in that conversation. That's what turns the tide and opens the doors. The way she defines how she goes about it and puts restrictions on it so she doesn't get bogged down is eye opening.
Right. And the phrase it struck me was her energy of old materials. When she said she packed her old, the store-bought fabric she had and packed it in a box and moved it and then realized she wasn't going to use it. And so she just sold it off.
Yeah.
And I think we're the same way with our needlework supplies. How much stash we have. Is it bogging us down? Is it keeping us from doing what we really want to do, like the Natalie Dupuy piece, my casket? Am I allowing, I'll just finish this cross stitch piece, so I can get it done instead of working on this project that's a little harder, that's going to require a little bit more of my emotional energy. The casket does take, it takes a little bit more out of me. It requires a little bit more time. I have to think about it more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was an interesting phrase. And all I could think about is my stash in the basement that I might need to release some of that.
Well, it was interesting because talking to her was interesting. But then when I got back from my trip last week to California, and I was just sitting there this past weekend, sitting in the recliner, and it was almost depression, where there are so many things that need to get done, and it always seems like every day something's getting in the way of doing that. And all of it is preventing me from doing the things I want to do.
Right.
And to me, you just get so locked up in it. The fact that there's so many things that you don't do any of it. And you're just stymied. You're just stuck. And so we're recording on Monday. So yesterday, while I was watching football, I just sat down and I didn't care how long it was. And I just made it was a long stinking list of all the things that need to get done for Fiber Talk, for the magazine, projects we want to do in the house, all the things. I just made a list. And then now here Monday morning, I sat down and I had the longest list was the magazine, and I just started knocking them off. But I felt like I had in that list, I had a starting point, and I could see progress. And and I wonder if we do that kind of thing where we just list all the projects we have, all the things we want to do, and write them down, and then it kind of organize. At least it did for me. It kind of organizes it, and then you can say, all right, I'm going to go do this one.
Right. And it did. I that's one reason I keep a list of whips. and when did I start? I've got my little notebook here. In 2018 is when I think is the first time I wrote that list down. And I'll go through, and some of them I'm like I'm looking at the list for this year, things that are on the list, and I'm thinking, okay, let's be realistic. Are you ever going to stitch this piece? I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't think so. And so I think I'm just going to take it off the list. It's just like, this is silly. Let's just remove it. And then it's gone. And I can work on the things that I know I want to get done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think making a list is helpful because it forces you to see what you have to do, and it makes you think about it. Like for me, do I really want to do this piece? Do I really want to take the time to do it?
Yeah.
And maybe yes, maybe no.
Right.
But it makes you think about it.
But isn't that right there the answer to your question? Maybe yes, maybe no. Then why are you keeping it? Or why is it sitting here?
Right.
If it isn't an emphatic yes, I can't wait to get to it, then shouldn't it go in a box or go to someone else? Right.
And why am I carrying this around, this baggage? Why? It's just taking up real estate, and mental space too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. And sometimes it's like, okay, let's get these off the list. Let's just get rid of them. And even if like there's something I think, well, I might want to stitch this eventually someday down the road, that's all right. I can keep it. But there's some I'm thinking, my tastes have changed. I don't really want to stitch that anymore. And it off the, then it goes, away it goes.
Yep. Well, and even those down the road, if you say, all right, someday I'd like to stitch that, but not right now. Okay, those go in a box somewhere. But they're off your mental checklist. They're not putting mental pressure on you to do, somewhere down the road. And if you come back a year from now and say, I don't even really care anymore, then it goes away. But at least it isn't sitting there saying, what about me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Well, this is the first I've made. I make lists of things that need to be done in the immediate future. That's everybody does that. But this is the first time I just sat there watching football and I just let my mind go. I'm putting them all down, and I felt better about. Okay, at least I know what has to be done, and I know what I can get to and how to go about it, and then I can check them off and they go away. And so it just gave me a starting point, just because the list is stinking long, and at least gave me, all right, here's what's got to be done, and then rather than just this mental mush of stuff, and where do I start? Yeah.
Right. Especially with the magazine where you have deadlines and
right.
And things that need to get done, and yeah.
All right, so you're making progress on the casket now.
Yes.
Are you? Because originally you were going to create your own design.
Yeah, and I think that too stopped me because I thought, okay, not only do I have to make my own design, I have to figure out how to use these materials, and I was like, no, I just going to stitch what it is, and I belong.
See there, there it is, there it is again. That was a barrier that kept you, because that's a whole new level, creating your own casket design. And so now you took that away, and now you're actually using needle and thread on the thing.
Right. And I think I realized if I can get this done, I could do another one if I wanted. Nothing's stopping me from doing two caskets, right? But I can't do two caskets until I get number one casket done.
Right.
But yeah, so I think what's encouraged me too is if anyone belongs to the Ning group, there's a lady on there who runs a Zoom meeting, and I've joined them, I think 2 or 3 times. She changes the time, the date, whatever works for her. But if you belong to the Ning group, I posted on there, I'm going to start a Zoom group because I find that helpful to meet with other people who are working on the same project that I am.
Yeah.
So if you're part of Trish and Wynn's, I don't know what you call it, her system, you should be able to find it, and you should find my little post, and you'll get the information there about when we're meeting. But that's helpful. And the ladies I talked to on the Zoom meeting that I joined, I said, okay, so did you guys practice your stitches before you started? And one lady said, no, life's too short. I just stitched. and she had never done any of these things
practice
before.
Noise.
Yeah. She goes, I've never done any of this. I've never stitched with any of these materials. She said, but I just don't have the time. And she said, I need to keep moving on this. If I had to practice it, I wouldn't do it. And I thought, in a way, she's right.
Yeah.
I might practice. I might I need to get a hoop set up with some fabric, and I might practice some stitches, but the ones I'm using right now, I have done before. So it's like, okay, I just need to just do it. Just go. Just go.
Yeah. Yep. Got to learn. Might as well just dive in. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to see how now that you've broken free, how that casket evolves, because that's impressive. It's an impressive project. So
it is. Yeah. It is. And I know I will be changing things as I go, because I can't just do it as it's charted. That would be almost impossible for me. So, but right now I am just starting that way. So that'll be great. That'll be great.
You know that, and you talk about like when we head to heaven, what happens with our stash? That's an ongoing problem, and people certainly my age, who there's just so many baby boomers, who are retiring, passing away, and so on and so forth. And so I think probably now more than ever that there's more stash to be dealt with. I mean, you've had it several times in your guild, where someone passes away, and here you have a bunch of stash. What do you do with it? Are there? I know there are places on Facebook, but I wonder if there needs to be some kind of a system or some kind of I don't know what, to help people deal with that, because it's the stuff we know about, but how much stash, really good good collections of threads and charts and stuff, gets just thrown away because family members have no idea and don't want to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you do wonder, like the scissors I found. I wonder if the lady even knew what they were. I know the last stash we went through, the daughter said, we didn't realize it, but Salvation Army came and took some things that they shouldn't have taken, and they were needlework. And, there was nothing we could do. It was gone. We were sorry, because they always knew they were going to give the stash to us, to the guild.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. And you wonder, that's the other reason I'm starting on this casket. My kids know about my needlework, but what will they do when you get 10, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and they look at it and think, I don't want to deal with this.
Right.
Just chuck it.
Yeah. Well, and it's what it comes, it's not their fault, but it's to them, they have lives, it's hassle.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I make sure this gets to a good home? Well, now I got to find somebody who knows what's going on, get them to take it, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like so many things, just pitch it. And, and kids today do not have the appreciation for history and for family history that we had or still have. I think all the things Marga has from her grandma and her great grandma, and we have her grandfather came over as a boy from Germany. His parents sent him over here to protect him from the war as a boy. So he comes over all by himself with his trunk, a steamer trunk, with his belongings. And we still have that trunk. And when we moved, it was, what are we going to do with this old thing? Couldn't bring ourselves to get rid of it, because that's how the family got to the States.
Right.
This boy, all by himself, got over here, build a farm, a dairy farm, build a life, build a family. That symbol, how do you get rid of that? But today's, kids today just don't have that same connection.
Right. And I think of my husband's family. I remember my father-in-law saying they had, they're from a family that was old, came from, I think they crossed after the Mayflower, but Ellicott City, if you know that city, they're from there. They're from that family lineage. Well, their house had a bunch of antiques in it. Nobody wanted them. They burned them.
Oh.
And my father-in-law, I remember him saying, "Oh, I wish we hadn't done that. I really wish we had saved some of those things."
Yeah. Yeah. You can't keep everything. That's the trouble. No. You can't keep everything, but yeah.
Yeah.
Who's deciding?
Who's deciding? Right. Yeah. Right. And it's tough. And you can't blame the kids. But yeah, in fact, our guild pretty much, because I've been the contact for a long time. If people, because I run the website, I'll get a notice. Someone will say, "Hey, I see you're local. My mom did cross stitch. Can I bring?" And I just automatically say yes. Because we've gone and picked up things at people's homes. Obviously a wife has passed and she loved needlework and will look at the stuff she's finished that their family's keeping. It honors the family in a way, and it honors the life that has passed.
Yeah. So
we try to do that, even if we know most of our members, we don't need this stuff. It's more to say, to honor the life. This person put a lot of time in their needlework, and we just want to say, hey, yeah, we know we love it too, and we love that she loved it.
Yeah.
Normally she, and then we do try to pass it on.
That was so sexist that you just said she.
I know.
It could be a he.
It could be a he, but it hasn't been in my guild. Not yet. Not yet. Although we did have a man show up at a guild meeting, and he said, someone gave me, and he did mirabilias, I think, or lavender and lace, the angels. Did beautiful work. But someone had given him a whole bunch of variegated flosses, and he goes, "I don't use this. Can you all use it?" And we're like, yeah. And we couldn't talk him into staying. He was obviously like there's too many women in this room. We're like, you could stay, you could visit. No. He left.
I will say it's intimidating.
Yeah,
it is intimidating. Yep.
And I was like, okay, ladies, don't crowd him. Don't crowd him.
Because it's like your freak of the week. Yeah.
Right. But but that was interesting. He had a basket full of someone had given him, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't use these." So I'm like, "Yeah, we can use them. We can use them."
Poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, we got to get to underrated, overrated, but we're getting toward the end of the year, so I think we pretty much covered what we're looking at stitching for next year. Mm-hmm. What's in your mind? Your casket?
My casket. I also want to finish the 17th century. It's the colored whitework, the colored sampler. It's got the colored needle lace in it.
Yeah.
And I need to get that back out and work on it because it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to. But the gold work and finish my gold work, maybe. See what I can get done.
Yep. Natalie Dupuy's Van Gogh design. I forget the name of it. I can see the box, but it's all covered up. I got to get to that. I want to get that done. So I got to finish the frog to get just enough experience, and then we'll go for that. And a couple samplers I have, but I want to get back to doing some white work. I just really enjoy white work stuff, and I've gotten away from that. So.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. It is.
And I have plenty of them.
Yeah.
I just got the Gayanne Rogers one, the one you just finished. Oh. What is it, like 83 pages? That thing came in the mail. It's a ridiculous stack of paper. Jeez.
It's a book, and I always put mine in page protectors and a 3-ring binder.
Well, this one you have to.
Oh,
you have to, or it'd be all over the room. Yeah, I mean, I got to put it somewhere. Yeah, it's got to get contained.
Yeah, and the only advice I'm going to give people is, okay, there's 2 samplers in there. There's the doodle one and the big one, the real one.
We should name it. What is it called?
There's a doodle, and then there's the drawn thread sampler.
Yeah, the drawn thread sampler, Gayanne Rogers. Yeah.
Right. So I worked both of them because I'd done some hardanger, but I'd never done this type of white work samplers before. So I wanted to practice. I would do all of the satin stitch, all of that pre-work on whichever sampler you're going to do, then start doing the cutting. You don't have to do it that way, but if you get all that boring part out of the way, then it's easier to do to get to the fun little bits. I think it holds up better if you do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, her samplers are great because it's up at 1, down at 2. Here's where you put your waist knot. This is how many times you wrap it. They're wonderful.
Yep. Yeah. I was thinking the other day, I have so many Gayanne Rogers pieces. One summer long ago, it was when I was in school, so high school, so I had the summer off. And I said, all right, this summer, before school starts again, I'm going to have read all of the Tom Clancy books that were available.
Okay.
And those books are thick, long, and they're really good. But, and I don't know if there was half dozen or so I hadn't read. I Hunt for Red October, and then, I hadn't read anymore. So I did that. That summer, I did it. It was like my nose was in a book all summer long, and I just ate them up. And I was thinking the other day, I could do a summer. You could take a year and just say, this is the year of Gayanne Rogers.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And just do nothing but Gayanne Rogers projects, because I bet I have half dozen. Yeah.
Oh, that's...
I know it's nothing. I know I'm not in your league. I know I can't even play in your league. But
and I thought of that. I thought, and it'd have enough variety because you do the white work sampler.
Yep.
You could do one of the hearts. You could do Echoes of Elizabeth.
Yep. I could do a whole year, just Gayanne.
A whole year.
Yep.
Yeah.
and not be bogged down in big projects, because I have enough small ones too. So it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm slogging through this giant project all the time. I could bounce back and forth. Yeah. Just the year of Gayanne.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought of that. I thought, and I was like, oh, you have so many other ones started. I should add one of Gayanne's and try to get it finished to my repertoire. Is what I should do.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Overrated, underrated. Stretcher bar tacks.
They're underrated. You need them. You have to have them. How would you not have them?
Okay. Now, see, I take a different approach. I think what you buy are overrated because I think they're junk.
Oh,
I got to find good ones.
The big quilters ones is what you want.
I think I've been told this before, so I need quilter tacks.
Yes. And the only place I've seen them, and I hate to, is Amazon.
Oh.
I know.
I can't get them at a quilt shop?
I haven't seen them at a quilt shop. but they're big. They're bigger than a nickel, smaller than a quarter.
Okay.
They're silver, and they cover a lot of area, and they must have a longer, whatever that tack part of it is. Yeah.
All right. I got to find some because, okay, all right, here, I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you why this was even on the list and why I think they're overrated. Is when I was taking that painted canvas bird thing off the stretcher bars that I sent to you.
Yes.
That, of course, we're looking to see that, start to show up with some stitching on it.
It hasn't even been re-put on stretcher bars yet.
How come I knew that? But when I was taking those tacks out, easily 6 heads went flying across the room. The heads just pop off those things. And
right.
It's like, come on, there's got to be better tacks than that. So I got to go find quilter tacks. So
yes.
To me, they're just junk. And I wish local needlework shops would find different ones and sell those rather than those little gold things that bend and snap and
yeah, and I hate that they bend. They just drive me
I know.
bonkers.
You can't fix them because if you try and straighten them, what happens? Snap.
They break.
Yep.
They break. Yeah.
They're junk.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Okay. Stitching calendars.
Yeah. Okay.
Overrated, underrated.
Overrated for me.
See, now I'm going to say underrated because it goes back to your list making. I used to think that they weren't that great, but I started writing in mine when I stitched on a project. Mm-hmm. And then I keep I don't use the one that's popular. I bought a cheapy spiral from Walmart, a planner, and I write my goals for the month. I put in there, what I stitched that day. If I stitched on 3 projects, it's written down in there.
Wait. So you keep a diary, like a journal diary?
In the calendar.
Wow.
Yes. And then if I start a project, like I circle it or make a square around it so I know that I've started it then, I keep a separate notebook, or I've been putting in the margins lately. I haven't been putting stuff in my notebook, but I normally put in a notebook information about the fabric, if I've changed the threads, the actual start date of stitching it. And then a lot of times I'll put little notes in this notebook about, I've gotten to this point. I had to rip out a whole section of the sampler because I made a huge mistake. And, I'll just make a little note. Or I've totally quit on this silly project. It's going into the basement until I'm happy with it. Whatever. Or I loved it. I couldn't stop stitching on it. Whatever's in there, I'll put that in my notebook. But in the calendar, I'll keep like notes. I'll keep a list of goals. I have a list of my whips. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it can be a way to keep track of what you're actually working on. And I like that. You don't have to put the stickers in. You don't have to make it, frou-frou. But it is nice to have that information. The only thing I wish I had was one of those, they're little printers that you can print from your phone.
Oh yeah.
And I thought about getting one of those, so I could take a picture of my finished piece and put it in my calendar, or of my start and put it in my calendar, like of whatever the project is. So I have a visual of it. But
wow.
Yeah.
Because see, to me, those things are overrated because I would never use them for anything. I don't even get it. But now I can see where, holy smokes.
And a few years ago, I had one. I don't know why I bought it. And I was like, no, I'm not using this. And then all of a sudden I realized I could keep track of what I was stitching each day. And the light went on. so it just made it a lot better. And I don't keep track of hours. I know some people keep track of how long they stitch on things, and no, not that much information. But it's nice to know, oh, I did start this project in April, and I finished in June. It's nice to know that I stitched on it so many days.
Wow.
It's just information,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think it goes along with, Lisa Call said something about keeping a sketchbook. And I think that kind of goes, people who cross stitch or, do a lot of other people's patterns. It's nice to have a note of what you've done. And those calendars are convenient for just, okay, I couldn't find DMC, whatever, so I substituted this color and put that in your calendar, and then it's there. So when you're like, oh, what did I do on this pattern? The information's there and you have it.
Okay, because see, I bought, and to that end, Kim is taking orders for the Needlework Press annual book calendar thing. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, hit Kim up at Sassy Jack Stitchery for, and those sell out fast. Those are really popular.
Yes.
But I bought Teresa Little Stitcher. She's in England. She built an elaborate digital, all-encompassing thing for keeping track of all of your stash and all of your projects and stuff. And I bought that. It was like $30 a long time ago. And I thought, I'm going to start listing everything. And I started listing stuff, and I just skip it. I'd rather just go stitch. If I'm going to take time to do this, I'd rather stitch. So I just quit. But I can see. Okay, so you just keep a running journal then.
Right. And like for my whip list, I have that all written down, and then I can see, oh, I finished this piece, so I can cross it off.
Yeah.
But it's in that calendar, which you can add to the Needlework Press one. I mean, you could just add sheets into that if you spiral bind it.
Yeah.
There's ways. I know I think her name is Cheryl from the Colorado Cross Stitcher on YouTube. She does that.
Uh-huh.
And it's an easy, go to your local print store and they'll help you out. But
yeah. Okay. All right. That opened my eyes. All right. One more overrated, underrated, seam rippers.
Absolutely have to have one. I used it this morning.
Yep. Underrated by a long shot. Yeah. You got to have one. Got to have two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I was stitching along. I was like, that is totally in the wrong place. That's 30 stitches. I cannot fudge it. It must come out. Took the seam ripper very carefully, took them out, picked them out with my tweezers, and done.
Yep. And best one for needlework, the little Bowen.
Oh, yeah.
Seam rippers. Not those big monster things, but the little Bowen, Bohin, fold up kind of like a jackknife. I have two of them, so I can easily grab one.
Yeah.
Why do I always have two? Why do I always have two of something? I don't know. Who cares?
I don't know. Well, because you can never find the one.
Yeah, probably right.
Well, I have two because I have two stitching spots, but I don't know about you. I mean,
I have one stitching spot, but I have two of them. Yeah, those things, the little Bowen, they fold up they're folded up. They're 2 inches long.
Yeah,
that's the one to have. Handy as all get out. Yep.
Yes, and they're not that expensive. I saw some at a quilt shop the other day, and I was like, oh wow, they're inexpensive.
Yep.
I don't even remember what they cost.
No, yeah, that's cheap. not like they cost. I have one of those big ones. From Joanne, Seam Fix.
Mm-hmm.
Big ones that are I don't know, 4 or 5 inches long. You know what I use that for?
What?
The rubber ends I use to clean fuzz off.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're too big for seam ripping on needlework. But yeah. So it's a very expensive eraser, is what it is. Yeah. But the little bowling ones, yep.
Yeah, those are nice. Those are absolutely wonderful.
Yep. All right, that's enough.
All right.
Wow. There's more, but we're just going to call it.
Yeah, we'll have to. We'll have to.
All right. Jamie Chalmers is Sunday. Don't miss that one. Next Wednesday, we'll have the live Stitch Hour. So join us for that. Thanks for listening.
All right. Bye.